Well, hello YouTube, and welcome to another episode of the Albino Rhino Beer Review. Today we're looking at a collaboration brew. It's called Hang Loose, and it's a light beer at 4.5% alcohol by volume. Now, if I look this up at Untapped, I bought this from Brothers Brewing, and it's a beer that was made with Brothers Brewing and Wavemaker. Wavemaker has it on their site as a light lager, and if you look at it under Brothers, it's the right ABV and all that. But if you look at it under wow, listen to those dogs. If you look at it under oh, but the can's the right color too, so this must be the right one. Anyway, I was gonna say, if you look at it under Brothers Brewing, it says it's a pale ale, which, well, it says right on it that it is a light beer. Now, I mean, you could have a light pale ale, but usually you would call that a pale ale. So, 4.5% alcohol by volume, a collaborative brew between Wavemaker and Brothers. Brewed and packaged. This one was made at Wavemaker. This one was brewed and packaged in Cambridge, Ontario. It's just being sold by Brothers as well. So you have Brothers Brewing, which is the tandem bike, and you have Wavemaker's logos on there. Let's open her up. Let's try it. Today's shaker glass is to Dad from The Reasons You Drink. And it has such double entendres right there, because they are the reasons I drink. Some of it is the stress of raising kids. Some of it is the stress of trying to be able to have a visitation with my kids. Some is the stress of trying to navigate a relationship with my kids while the relationship is entirely trying to be sabotaged by the other half. I did say to my wife today, if I wouldn't have hated myself for it and all that, I may have just paid my child support until the kids were of age and just wiped my hands clean of them. But that's not me. That's not what I want. It's not who I am. I want to be there for my kids, but this fight to even be able to say hi to them on the phone is getting old after this many years, and I just don't know how much longer I can go with it before I just implode. Anyway, back to the beer. Sorry guys, crystal clear, golden straw color, sent from the can. Oh my god, like, put the two giant monsters outside. They're gonna take down my fucking house wrestling. If you wonder what I'm talking about, the 1-year-old and 165-pound fucking St. Bernard wrestling with the 90-pound Bernese Mountain Dog. They are also a reason I drink. Okay. Smells like a light beer. That's all it really smells like. It smells like what I used to call a bougie beer, which is, a craft brew trying to be a macro brew. Cheers, let's try it. Yeah, that's kind of what it reminds me of, especially when you figure there is a bit of hoppiness in there. Here's the thing, right? If you're going to make a light lager, and you're making a tandem light lager, you're making a collaborative light lager. I understand the idea of, hey, we both like to use hops and this and that. Let's use some of our telltale things that make us who we are. But at the same time, this style is all about restraint. And there's not a lot of craft breweries that seem to know how to use restraint. And I get it, back in the 90s and the early 2000s and even the 2010s, it was all about going big or going home. I think where we're at a point where people are dropping off in drinking beer and everything, we need to start thinking about that restraint again, because the go big or go home just stopped working. It's not working anymore. You don't have people lining up as much to go out and get stuff. You don't have people muling beers as much as... I mean, there's still beer mules. You can see the beer trade sites and all that. There's still the super hyped beers that everybody wants to try. Well, but the amount of people that care to try it is dwindling. So it might be time to start thinking about safer options that can get into more places, that can be used as food pairings and this and that, instead of just dialing up the hops on a style that shouldn't have it. Now, it's not particularly hoppy. I'm just talking here, right? Not everything we talk about necessarily is aimed at the beer in question, but in the industry in question, sure. The forefront flavor is very soft, very mild, very mellow. And it's kind of what I'd expect from a light beer. It's, as soon as we get to about the middle, you start getting a little bit of a citrusy hop note, a little bit of a piney hop note, both very mild and very watered down, but they leave this weird flavor on the back of the palate. And they leave an almost tinny flavor as well. So here's where I'm looking at it. Body, malt characteristics, all that perfect. Back end, I'm not so sold on the back end. I've been sold on back ends before, but I'm not sold on this back end. But it's not a bad beer. I would actually buy this beer again. It's just... excuse me. I've never met any of the people from Wavemaker, but I do know the guys from Brothers. And I'm used to better beer coming from them. I'm not... And this was brewed at Wavemaker in Cambridge. I've never been to Wavemaker. I don't know what their stuff is like. I don't know what their equipment is. I don't know enough to talk about anything. There is more hop flavor than I expected, but it is very mellow and mild and watered down at the same time. It's just kind of more than what I was expecting. So like I said, my little spiel isn't necessarily about this brewery per se, but it's about the industry for sure, and where the industry is going with their stuff. And I'm not always happy with that, but I'm just a fucking idiot wearing a Saskatchewan Roughriders jersey sitting in my basement drinking beer. So what I feel doesn't necessarily matter. I'm also the guy that is very hurt at the moment and is dropping things into his videos he really shouldn't be. But I have no one to talk to about it, so I just kind of drop it. That being said, is this a beer I could see myself drinking again? Sure. Is it a beer I could drink with my buddies? I don't have any buddies anymore, but if I did, yeah, sure, I could drink it with my buddies. I think I'm realizing just how isolated I am even now that I'm around people, because I was isolated for so many years in the Arctic, and I was not allowed to really be part of anything while in the Arctic. And I lost a lot of friends, and I moved provinces over and over. I think I'm realizing that shit too. Anyway, I'll give the beer a 7. I would buy it again. Thank you.